Okay, if I can have everybody's attention, thank y'all for being here tonight. Beautiful day. We've had several beautiful days. Even though they're a little cold in the morning, they turned out to be nice in the afternoon, so we appreciate that. But thanks for coming. Call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Pam Hawkins if she would not mind doing the invocation for us.
Let's pray. Dear Lord, I thank you so much for this day, and I thank you for all the people that have come out tonight to be a part of this meeting. Pray that you would just bless us all during this meeting and appreciate the fact that we get to be a part of this wonderful community, the beautiful place. I pray that you would bless all the leaders in this community, Lord, in Union County that make decisions, and pray that you would bless everyone tonight as we head home to be safe. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Amen.
Amen. You stand up, Mr. Bill Walker is going to lead us in the pledge.
Veterans render a hand salute. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Bill. You should have a copy of the minutes from the September 15th, 2022 county meeting, and those minutes are hereby approved as presented to you. And also, I don't know that I mentioned at the very first October the 20th, 2022 county meeting. And I've got several different things to talk about and throw in. Number one, I wanted to mention that Patrick Malone, some of y'all know Patrick, his wife Kathy Malone passed away this last week, and he has moved out of town for most of the time now, but he's been a big help to the county in a lot of different ways, not only in county government, but in the county in general. And we appreciate him and her and the Children's Memorial that they provided at Meeks Park. Item number one, so I hereby proclaim October the 4th, 2022 as Frank and Florence Ford Day here in Union County. And what I was also going to say, I'm going to ask William Mercer, is our assistant attorney here at the county, and he's been coming into the meetings. And so I figured if we're going to get our money's worth, I got to get him to talk a little bit more. So I'm just kind of kidding on that, but I've had some cataract surgery, so I just wanted to have him come up and read some of the longer things. So he's going to first read this, and then we're going to have hang on. Anyway, we're going to, I don't know where I wrote it, but we're going to have Brandon, I mean, say it for me.
Ray Bourne?
Ray Bourne, I'm sorry, Ray Bourne. He'll come up and speak in just a minute.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening. On the first thing, we are proclaiming October 4th, 2022 as Frank and Florence Ford Day here in Union County. Now, Frank S. Ford Jr., a World War II U.S. Army infantry scout, and his wife Florence M. Ford, a World War II U.S. Army nurse, assigned to an Army hospital for amputees, moved to Union County in 1970 and immediately began to better their lives for both veterans and civilians of Union County. Are Mr. and Mrs. Ford here today? No? Okay. Frank earned his doctorate in theology and combined that with his experience in the financial market, began a ministry to ministers. Frank ministered to local pastors on all areas of church life, focusing on enriching their own Christian experience and understanding of church finances. Flo became heavily involved in improving the lives of veterans and established the Disabled American Veterans, DVA, Chapter 11, and served as its commander ultimately. She and Frank, the chapter adjunct, established the North Georgia Honor Guard as part of DVA Chapter 11. As members of the North Georgia Honor Guard, Frank and Flo personally participated in approximately 2,000 military funerals for veterans over a 31-year period. For nearly all of these funerals, Flo folded the flag, not wanting to leave this important task to anyone else. Frank and Flo also assisted those already involved in working to get a VA clinic established here in Union County, so veterans would no longer have to drive to Atlanta or Asheville. All of these efforts culminated in the construction of a new VA clinic in Blairsville. The Fords' active involvement in veterans activities led to a decision to establish a cemetery for servicemen and women on a portion of their 71-acre Ford Mountain. Everyone, please join me in recognizing all that the Fords have done to enrich their lives of the veterans of Union County. This proclamation was presented to Mrs. Ford on October 4th at the Leon Davenport Veterans Center. So. I know my father was a disabled veteran, so that's really, really good what they did. Is any of their family members here tonight? No? Okay. It'd have been interesting to know if they met at World War II. Okay. All right, number 2 is a proclamation. In 1985, the Rotary launched Polio Plus, and in 1988 helped establish the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, which today includes the World Health Organization, U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, UNICEF, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, to immunize the children of the world against polio. Polio cases have dropped by 99.9% since 1988, and the world stands on the threshold of eradicating the disease. Rotary has contributed more than $2.4 billion and countless volunteer hours to protecting nearly 3 billion children in 122 countries. We're going to invite Mr. Richard Rayborn. Mr. Richard Rayborn to come up and say a few words about this initiative.
First of all, I'd like to thank Lamar Parish Commissioner for this proclamation, and I understand having that cataract surgery too. Polio was a very debilitating disease with over 50,000 children being paralyzed every year. The 1950s were very scary times, and American physician scientists came up with 2 different vaccines. The vaccine that we use in most modern countries right now is the injectable vaccine. But in most developing countries, the oral polio vaccine is the way to go. It can rapidly get a herd immunity. We have a newer oral polio vaccine, one that doesn't change or become a variant that's more infectious. We live in a world that's very connected. The cases of polio that we've had recently in New York came from people that were originally from Pakistan to London to New York, and some people had not had their immunizations, and so they were susceptible. We've been very lucky in the United States, as we've been very effective in getting rid of polio. I took care of several patients in my practice. I'm a 3rd-generation Florida physician. But when Polio Plus came about in Rotary, I became president of Rotary in Delray Beach, Florida. And this is an area where Florida led the nation in a lot of the ways of getting out the oral polio vaccine. And so Rotary continues. We have 100% individual participation in Rotarians here giving to Polio Plus. The reason it's called Polio Plus is that we were doing such a good job with the first world countries and Rotary clubs, supporting the third world countries and Rotary clubs, that we were able to get this vaccine program going. And then the World Health Organization asked to join with us and allow us to help start distributing other vaccines for children. And so we don't have to worry now every summer that, you know, some of the kids in the community are going to be paralyzed. And so I think it's a great honor that the Rotary got involved and did this whole thing worldwide. So thank you again.
Now, there may be others, and I hope I'm not wrong on this, because this just came to mind as he was speaking, but Wayne Caldwell was a previous commissioner here many years ago, and he had polio as a child, and was always on crutches, but boy, he went through life and just, you know, you'd never know anything was wrong. When you'd see him, he would walk on those crutches, but he knew how to do it and knew how to carry on his life and business, and did it for many years. Well, what Rotary has done with this program is amazing, and thank y'all for taking on such a serious and good project. Item 3.
Mr. Raver, if you don't mind.
Can you get a picture of me handing in this proclamation? Item number 3 is an agreement. I hereby accept this agreement between Cummins Incorporated in Union County for the planned maintenance of a generator located at the Union County 911 Center in the amount of $1,232.50. This contract is effective now through November the 1st of effective November 1st, 2022 through October 31st of 2023, and covers 2 service visits and all maintenance service that is required, and 1 maintenance inspection during the agreement period. Item 4 and 5 item 4 is a presentation. I'm going to ask Mr. Mercer.
As y'all may remember, August 4th, there was, Union County awarded 4 substance abuse grants to local organizations for the purpose to help treat those with drug and alcohol abuse problems. Those 4 organizations were Freedom Ministries, New Hope Counseling, Positive Pathways, and Union County Family Connection. Each were awarded $5,000, which was the amount they had each applied for and was the maximum they could have applied for. The committee that decides which organizations will receive grant funding made the decision to offer each organization that was awarded a grant additional funding if they could provide a budget showing how they would utilize any additional funding. based on those budgets that were turned into the committee is now awarding each organization the following funds. Freedom Ministries will get an extra $2,500. New Hope Counseling will get an extra $5,000. Positive Pathways Incorporated will get an extra $2,500. And Union County Family Connection will get an extra $5,000. And so congratulations to any of y'all who are here. I know the money will be used for the betterment of the county, so we appreciate you all. Item number 5 is the second ordinance reading. This will constitute, or the amplified sound ordinance. This will constitute as the second reading of the Union County Amplified Sound Ordinance. You all have been provided a copy of the second draft of the Amplified Sound Ordinance. The only thing that was changed since the first reading and the public hearing is in paragraph C. The word offense was spelled both ways. One with an S, one with a C. Sounds confusing. Everybody looked it up. They're proper spellings both ways, but we're gonna be continuous. We're either gonna use the S or the C, and the powers that be said we're using the S. So there will be no offenses with C's, it will be offenses with S's. And that is what's being changed. The second spelling is gonna be changed to correspond with the first. At the end of that same sentence, a period was inserted to the end of that sentence to start the new one. All questions presented at the public hearing were answered. And now, if I can find my draft of the ordinance, I'll just read it again. So this is gonna be section 4804, amplified sound. Section A, restrictions on use of sound amplifying equipment. A1, no person shall use or cause to be used any sound amplifying device or equipment at any place outdoors in the unincorporated areas of Union County, except in accordance with subsection 2. Sound amplifying device or equipment means any machine or device for the amplification of the human voice, music, or any other sound. Sound amplifying equipment shall not include standard automobile radios when used and heard only by the occupants of the vehicle in which the automobile radio is installed. Sound amplifying equipment, as used in this article, shall not include warning devices or authorized emergency vehicles or horns or other warning devices on any vehicle used only for traffic safety purposes. A2, sound amplifying devices and equipment. A2I, shall be operated in a manner that directs sound, to the extent feasible, toward open unoccupied space away from any residential area. For the purpose of this article, residential area means any real property that contains a structure or building in which one or more persons reside. Section A2II, shall not be used outdoors between the hours of 10 p.m. and 8 a.m. Sunday through Thursday, and not between the hours of 11 p.m. and 8 a.m. Friday and Saturday, except when approved by the Sheriff's Office. Section B, exceptions. This section shall not be construed to apply to the use of sound amplifying equipment or devices under the following circumstances. B1, sound amplification equipment or devices used on privately owned property where the sound produced does not carry beyond the real property line. B2, radios, stereo systems, televisions, and other similar audio equipment when the volume does not exceed the volume of normal conversational speech. B3, sound amplification equipment or devices used on emergency vehicles or by government employees in connection with any activity undertaken for the protection of public health or safety. B4, sound amplification equipment or devices used as part of an organized school-related program, activity, event, or parade, or other public programs, activities, or events authorized by Union County Sheriff's Office. B5, the reasonable use of amplifiers or loudspeakers in the course of public addresses which are non-commercial. Section C, violations. This section shall be enforced by the Union County Sheriff's Office. The Union County Sheriff's Office shall have the discretion to issue a warning in lieu of a citation for the first offense. any person who uses or causes to be used any sound amplifying equipment or device in violation of the provisions of this section shall be guilty of a misdemeanor punishable by fine up to $500 or imprisonment for 30 days or both for a first offense. Any subsequent offense can be punishable by maximum fines or jail time as allowed for a misdemeanor under Georgia law. Each incident shall be a separate violation such that multiple violations may occur on the same date. If a person is warned or cited for a violation of this section and corrects the violation, but then later, on the same date, uses or causes to be used any sound amplifying equipment or device in violation of the provisions of this section, such person may be cited for a separate violation of this section. I'm gonna turn it back over to Mr. Paris.
Thank you, sir. And we normally, after the second reading, we go ahead and approve the ordinance, but since there were some changes made to it, even though they were relatively minor, such as how to spell certain words, we are gonna wait till, the next meeting to approve this ordinance in case anybody does have any other comments to do. And this ordinance will kind of go hand in hand with, I'll talk about it in just a minute, the, SRO ordinance. It's a short-term rental ordinance that's being worked on. This will kind of be separate and an addition, but it will be still coordinated with that ordinance. Item number 6 is a reschedule of the county meeting. Due to the scheduling conflicts in the county, meeting schedule is for December the 15th, 2022, is hereby rescheduled to Tuesday, December the 13th, 2022. So it's 2 days early. It's on Tuesday instead of Thursday in December. They'll give you and all of us more time to get ready for Santa Claus. The meeting will again be at 6 o'clock in this room, Union County Courthouse. I think I'm gonna turn this back over to you, sir.
So item number 7, we did a resolution, R 2022-22, back in June. And if you remember that resolution, it was actually a moratorium for the short-term rentals. Some things have come up, and we're going to amend that. And what the original moratorium did was it did not allow any more business license for short-term rentals after a 60-day period had elapsed. So this went into effect June 16th. The 180 days started August 16th of this year. So after August 16th, there was no more business licenses allowed. We've been notified of some loopholes. And because of those loopholes, we are amending this so that we are making sure we're covering what we originally intended to. So the amendment will go in as follows. Everything is going to be the same on the resolution. The only amendment would be that in the very last paragraph, we had to add a sentence that says, further, no new short-term rental properties shall be added under any current business license starting October 20th, 2022 at 7 p.m. until the moratorium is repealed or by the adoption of new regulations or ordinances. So everything is staying the same. We're just adding that one sentence so that there's no loophole of property management companies or people like that with a license. They can just keep adding houses and more houses and more houses without having to get another license. And so while the original stopped any new license, this is now starting right now, 7 p.m., or it will start at 7 p.m. No new houses can be added to any license. Does anyone here want me to read the entire moratorium for them?
No.
Everybody got a copy and understand it? Okay.
Where would you get a copy?
There should be some out there, but if there's not, I'll make sure we get you a copy before you leave.
Thank you.
Item number 8, Miss Brothers, Miss Laurie Brothers was asked to be put on the agenda. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on.
We're trying to work our way through this, kind of a different setup. With that ordinance, I hereby adopt this resolution to amend the moratorium in applications for business license for short-term rentals that went into effect August 16th, 2022. And then, I'm gonna invite Ms. Laurie Brothers. She asked to be on the agenda. She's got 3 minutes to come up and, not come up. Microphone's right there. You mash the button on it, give it just a second, and it should be ready to go.
It's green.
There you go.
Thank you. Yeah, my name's Laurie Brothers, and I live at 178 Sweetheart Lane. I'd like to note our U.S. Constitution, the 14th Amendment, Section 1, second sentence. I have the right to vote and for my vote to count. For anyone unaware, we are using Dominion voting machines. There's so much going on, we're focused on 2 main issues. When you begin to understand what has happened at the hands of Secretary Raffensperger and others in his circle of influence, you begin to understand the fraud and crimes against the citizens of our great state. This is by the Mountain Patriots, this next section, to the Inspector General McAfee. Number 1, Dominion voting machine systems voting machines audit did not occur as described by the Secretary of State Raffensperger. 5 of the 6 counties identified by the Secretary of State confirmed that no. Five of the 6 counties identified by the Secretary of State confirmed that no audit occurred in their county. This same evidence proves that the Georgia audit report was fabricated for the Secretary of State by ProBNV. 3, a series of fraudulent actions were taken by the Elections Assistance Commission, EAC, to fictitiously illustrate ProBNV's accreditation. The evidence of fraud brought to light by our investigation and validated by Moncla Cross formal complaint illustrates fraud and deception by the Secretary of State, Georgia, ProBNV, and the EAC. We now know that the voting system used in Georgia has never been certified. When reviewing the Dominion contract with its exhibits, there are facts of law which note must be taken as well as notations of law discernible from the 2D statement of a review of Georgia statutes on the date of signing, which the last was Raffensperger on August 12, 2019. Software routine of a subroutine inside the BMV is needed to compute translation of the electors entered data into a graphic image. That process is specifically prohibited by Georgia Code. Nowhere in Chapter 2 of Title 21 is there to be permitted any marking on the face of a ballot other than what is authorized. The placement of such image makes the ballot illegal, not in compliance with statutes. These provable facts concerning the illegal nature of the equipment and its issuance of an illegal ballot are enough to void the contract. This case, however, goes even further into the accusation of willful and intentional fraud and violation of Georgia Code by Raffensperger, his minions, EAC, and Dominion to perpetrate a fraud upon the entire population of this state. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brothers.
Just about finished with the business, except that I'm gonna just make a few comments. Station 13, the fire station down at Ivy Lodge, began construction last week. If you by there, they've done the grading, getting the grading ready and start doing construction on the building real soon. We're real excited about this project. We also are pleased, and I'm pleased, I guess, as I go around, I take my garbage to the transfer station, I guess like a lot of you do. And, so it's really amazing when I go, and not only the employees come up and say thanks for providing us the equipment and the manpower to do the job that we need to do, but then people just come up to you and say, we can't believe how nice this is. And so we have to give the credit to the employees and all the hard work they do, but if you've been out there, it's really nice as trash can be, and great recycling system. Also have the new one at Petite Creek, that's our fire station 4 out there, that has been open about 2 weeks and is really doing good. More people starting to come to that as they find out it's there. Saves you from having to come to town, go around Hospital Street and back into there, so we're real excited about that project. And we also will be upgrading as soon as we get the one, we've got everything done down at the new convenience center, except for we're putting in new compactors, and one's delivered, and I think there's 3 or 4 more that are gonna be out there, so they'll start putting them up hopefully this next week. I mentioned the STR ordinance, the short-term rental ordinance. We keep thinking it's gonna be ready to bring out to the public, but we're not quite ready. We tried to get it ready by tonight, but we're just not quite ready. We think maybe in a couple of weeks, certainly by the next meeting, that we'll be able to have the first reading. We're working with several counties in this too, and we're gonna start distribution of a draft to the counties to let them look at it. We got our 5 county area, Lake, Rayburn, Towns, Union, Pickens, Fannin, and Gilmer. So we're all trying to work together with this to make sure that we got an ordinance that works, and we'll be getting some feedback from them. Some of them already have an ordinance, some are working on an ordinance, some want to redo their ordinance, so we're all working our best to make sure we got the best ordinance possible. It's gonna be a lot to do and a lot to look at and a lot to think about. But again, the whole purpose, we've had a couple of people come up and said, well, I've got a rental place, nobody should be able to tell me what to do with my property. And what we try to say is, this is not something to hurt you and your property. This is, if we all treat our neighbors as we want them to treat us, then there shouldn't be a problem. So the only issue going forward is each owner will be responsible for their building, their rental, as opposed to in the past, they could give it all to the VRBO companies, and if anybody came and complained, they'd give them their number. Well, they're off somewhere in some other state, and so that doesn't work. So we're just making sure that the owner can still let these other companies do it, but if they don't do what's needed to be done, ultimately it's the responsibility of the owner to be sure what's happening on their property is not adversely affecting adjacent property owners. I wanted to just mention a couple of things. If any of y'all get on Facebook and watch, they call him the Raj. He's Roger that works for Recreation Department. Great guy, loves to work with kids and adults alike. So he's already started a new fishing program for the young kids, teaching them how to fish, taking them to streams off back in the backwoods. Had a great success working with DNR and on getting trout and finding out where the trout are going to be stocked. So we're excited about that. And then he just announced on Facebook this week that he's starting a program for adults, and it's a hiking program. So he said, if you're an adult and want to do some hiking and want to see things in the county that most people don't get to see, including a lot of different waterfalls, water features, old homesteads, old cemetery areas, he's going to be preparing. I'm not sure. I think it's early next month in October that do you remember the first trip, anybody?
November.
November the 9th.
The 9th, okay, thank you. So that'll be the first trip out. If you're dying to get out and start walking in the backwoods, this will be your chance. And we really appreciate him, cause he's a funny and a great guy that has his heart in this. And it's a little late now, although I told one gentleman when I got here and he just got up and left immediately. So, that's the GDOT meeting, the transportation meeting in 129 North, better known as Murphy Highway, the 4-laning project. They, meeting in our new sports center, one of the double gymnasiums, are meeting in that tonight. I think they'll probably be over about the time you get out of here. It may still be going, so you can, go by there if you're wanting to talk to them, but it's just to give the public an idea of what the latest maps are gonna look like, because they came up with some about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and we had them at the office and people would come by, but then eventually they changed those and they made some more changes to it. And I'm sure they're talking about an 8-year from now construction project, so I'm sure in that 8 years there'll be plenty of opportunity for things to change once again. Because my brother-in-law, who retired from GDOT, told me, he said the first one of these meetings was back in 1962. So, I've been working on this highway a long time. And, I wouldn't lose a lot of sleep if you're worried about what's gonna happen right away, but nevertheless, they're taking questions, and then we hope they're gonna get us a copy of the aerial photos of the different sections that we can have our office, if somebody has a concern, hopefully they'll be able to come by. I volunteered to them that we would take them here in the commissioner's office so that the public, if they had a question or didn't understand or didn't get to come to the meeting tonight, or there were so many people there, may not have got a chance to really look, then that'll give them a chance to simply come to the courthouse and be able to look at those maps. We're also in the middle of designing the roundabout at the hospital where you'll enter Pat Harrelson on the Deep South Farm Road going to the hospital. If you've been over to the hospital, you've seen the new medical facility that's just about finished, and I think it's going to probably open in 30 to 45 days. You also, excuse me, you also see that they've got a new parking lot there built right beside the road when you turn in to go to the hospital. Everything over there is looking very good. We are blessed to have one of the best hospitals anywhere in a small rural community, and we thank them for all that they do, and the county's trying to work with them on this roundabout. We're working with GDOT. We've got a commitment of $1 million, but we think it's probably gonna cost possibly as much as another $500,000. In the meantime, what a big part of this will be, as soon as this preliminary, and this middle plan, I'd say it's not the preliminary, but the middle plan, we'll send it out to the utility companies, because unfortunately where this goes through is right where water and power and fiber and sewer and everything in Union County goes right through that intersection. Of course, it all feeds the hospital. So we've got to give those people a little time to look at it and see what their costs are in moving their equipment so that the roundabout can be put there, and what will be the advantage for them and for us, and hopefully they'll want to give us a real good price on moving that equipment. That's what we're hoping for. The Sorghum Festival, if any of you got to go, I hope you did. It was a great success. The first week was, is always the biggest and the best week. The second week was a little bit slower, but it was still great crowds. I talked to a lot of people that went that really enjoyed it, and you'd see people there from all different areas around Georgia that were up here visiting, and so they really enjoyed this festival. And next week we'll have the group. You want to tell me
Next month.
what?
Next month.
Next month? Yeah.
Another CASA.
we'll have an Casa, coming to explain the details of not only what they did and how they did it, but what the funds go for, so that you'll understand how important the Sorghum Festival is. And we also, so it's two groups that put it on. You had the Sorghum Festival, and then you had the Sorghum Makers. What's their official title?
Blairsville Sorghum. Yeah, Blairsville, they're the Blairsville Sorghum Festival ones that have the certain part.
Yeah, so anyway, they had a great year. I learned something this year that I didn't know. The weather, if it rains too much, sorghum, and I know y'all are really interested in this, but if you like sorghum like I do, born and raised with it, but if it rains too much, sorghum doesn't do well. It has a less percentage of volume that will come out of the stalk. So those stalks are run through a grinder, and that material in the stalk, that sugarized content, is what goes into the boiler and the cooker to make the sorghum syrup. Well, you know, it's been a little drier this year. Well, it's evidently perfect weather for sorghum syrup making. And so the cane was more rich and had more sorghum per stick than I think maybe they've ever had. So they had a really banner year in syrup making, and we appreciate all they did to contribute to that.
You'd cook it longer, Lamar, if you got a lot of water in it.
Have to cook it longer too,
It makes it a little darker and stuff.
so you get it
Yeah,
quicker and get more volume out of it.
You cook it down as much,
Yeah.
you don't get as much.
Obviously, if you got any questions on sorghum making, Johnny Hudson's your guy right there. He can give you any information you need on that.
10 gallons of juice to make a gallon of syrup.
So I'm gonna turn the meeting over to Attorney Mercer again to do questions and comments. And I will hereby adjourn the meeting. Yes, forgot to do that last time.
All right, we're gonna open this up to questions or statements about anything on the agenda. So if anybody's new here, you got a question, or something you wanna say about something on the agenda, just raise your hand. Come up to the microphone. Ms. Brothers, if you've got a question, let's hear it.
I have a statement. So I experienced and I was gonna say this, but I experienced poll watching for the first time in my life, starting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And, I just wanna say that, bless those ladies who are doing early voting. They do a wonderful job. The people who have got it organized. And with that, as my statements were, the problem is not you ladies, you guys do a fantastic job. It's, we're watching the machines inside because there's a one point at the Secretary of State's office where it can just hack in. So anyway, hats off to the ladies, they're doing a wonderful job, and I had a great time for watching. So it's a great experience. So get signed up, get trained to poll watch, and go poll watch on election day. There's still time. What's the date, Libby?
It's too late for this election, but
No, election day, they still can train, right, and it's 7 days prior to November 8th?
my understanding that the poll worker training was for this November 8th cycle.
We'll check on that.
We'll check on that, but if you're interested in it,
I think
get in
we
touch
still-
with Laurie or myself.
Yeah, advanced voting, you're out of luck. You can't sign up for that anymore, you know that. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Ms. Brothers. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Moore.
I have a statement about the meeting minutes from last month. It states on the last page, about the discussion that was being had about the missing ballot images. It says that they do have a record of the voting done by machine on a computer card. And I just wanted to point out that that is not true because they erased those. So I'm not sure if it was just, it doesn't look like you're quoting, so I just wanted to point that out to maybe get a correction on that. And then also, if the meeting wasn't adjourned last time, then could we also get the, public discussion on the meeting minutes if the meeting wasn't officially adjourned last time?
Well, to answer your first one,
Okay.
we'll look into it.
Okay.
I don't have an answer for that one. And if it was not officially adjourned, I'll have to look into that too. I don't have an answer for you right offhand, I'm sorry.
Okay. No,
But I'll look into it for you.
Turn it now.
Sir, I heard you said the meeting was
Yeah.
the last
Yeah.
I believe she's speaking of last time.
The
That's
last
what last time
time,
you did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you did.
That's why we're there.
You left.
Okay, I just heard him say that it wasn't, that's why I said it.
We'll look into it, Ms. Moore.
Okay, thanks.
Anyone else with a question or a statement? Something on the agenda? All right. Thank everybody for showing up.